not sure that Kyler Murray is big enough. This is Tom Brady. He's not just going to retire. Whitey, big fan of the show. Appreciate I've got Brian Murphy to my left, making sure everything's smooth, crispy, buttery. James Harden is systematically ruining the game of basketball. The most overrated player I've ever seen. The Chicago Bears for the championship season. And I'm sure dancing with the stars is happy to have Antonio back. Keep an eye on, that's your bad. Now listening to Open Season with your host, Billy
Welcome. It's Open Season, and I'm your host, Billy Allen, sitting here with Frankie Bradica. We've got a whole lot to talk about tonight. Mike White is back in town for the New York Jets, and they're winning ball games. Deshaun Watson is coming back this week. Odell Beckham. Cowboys still want him. Doesn't matter if he's in trouble. Jalen Hurts set records for the quarterback position. Josh Jacobs running real well. We're talking about the Patriots in Buffalo. We're recapping the Thanksgiving games this weekend. The Raiders are 2-0 since Derek Carr cried, so maybe that helps some things over there. The Celtics, nobody can beat them. And things are already kind of coming to a crash landing in Minnesota. I wasn't really a big fan of the Rudy Gobert trade, but hey, they went for it, and you can never blame them for that. We bring in, obviously we've got Frankie here, and we're talking about the, starting off with the Thanksgiving games. I think everybody kind of watches the first game, the Lions game. I think a lot of people were kind of getting that nap in during the Cowboys game. We saw Brian Daboll, angry fat man, pretty entertaining stuff. And then it was the Patriots game. The Patriots put up a lot more points than I thought they were going to put up in that game. Let's be honest. Their offense looked pretty good, but in the clutch moments, they weren't as great. What was your biggest which game were you most impressed by? Which one caught your attention the most this weekend, Frankie?
Individual performance, it's actually Mike White over Josh Jacobs. I know Josh Jacobs is good already. Going for 300 all-purpose is still very impressive, but I know he's a great player. Mike White has had 2 NFL starts now where he looks like all of that in a bag of chips. And I just don't think it's sustainable. But if I'm the Jets, I let it go another 2 or 3 weeks, just to humble Zach Wilson. I do think you need to get him back on the field. You have too much invested in that first-round pick to just go with the other guy. I mean, unless and look, they see Mike White in practice. So if they think he's the guy, then just like Bailey Zappi, sure. I don't think they're very good, but sure, if that's what you want to do. But at some point, you need to know what Zach Wilson is before you pay him or let him go.
Yeah, so you're saying that Josh Jacobs wasn't as impressive because he's actually a talented player? Is that what it comes down to for you?
Expectation versus reality. I'm just saying it's a more standout performance when a bad player does well versus a good player or a great player doing great things. Especially young in their career, they're supposed to do those things.
Yeah, and I feel like for Mike White, he was incredible in that first start last year, but that kind of came to a crash landing over there. Obviously, they gained enough confidence to put Zach Wilson back in there. And Robert Saleh says that this isn't going to really deter their game plan. I think they're going to try to get Zach Wilson right. Is there any chance that Mike White is the future in New York and not Zach Wilson?
I'm pretty sure Zach Wilson is not it, but I know Mike White is not it. Mike White doesn't have the arm, isn't big enough, isn't good enough. There's no way. I'm sorry. I don't have a long-winded answer. He's just not good enough. I don't even think that's worth questioning.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I don't think he's good enough either, but it's almost like when do you start to cut bait with Zach Wilson? Like, I feel like watching him, you realize that, maybe he was maybe it was all those games at BYU against poor competition. Maybe it was the great pro day, but he doesn't seem to quite have it between the ears in the NFL. I think a lot of this, like that first Patriots game, if he throws some of those balls out of bounds, I mean, they win that game by 20. It was just like some of the games that he kind of threw away, but couldn't actually throw all the way away. Those really damn them. And I feel like when you watch him play, you realize that between the ears, he's not really the NFL pedigree, but that's not to say that he can't change. I do feel like he throws a great ball, but God, I don't know. I would not have a lot of confidence in him right now if I was the Jets.
No, but you got to get him back on the field because you have to know. And yeah, no, he's incredibly immature, but I think that's I think Kyler Murray is immature. You could be immature and good.
Well, it sounds like Josh didn't buy his apology after that. It sounded like he kind of like walked around the locker room like he wasn't the issue. And then, they eventually bench him for Mike White. And then you hear a much different story from Zach Wilson. I feel like that was a pretty forced apology, or at least felt like one.
I don't know that it was forced. I believe that kid probably has a PR team and somebody probably got in his ear and said, hey, look, that's probably going to make you come off bad, especially in New York. So do what you got to do here. Yeah. And that's, look, Geno Smith got punched at his locker and is now, even though they're floating around 500, a feel-good story. So it's not like he can't do it. He throws a better ball than Geno. He's probably a better scrambler than Geno. So there's enough talent there. Will he ever mature even a little bit?
Yeah. And is he going to have to go through 10 years of, being a backup, going to all these different teams? I mean, I don't think a lot of players have the stomach for that. I wonder if Zach Wilson would even be willing to do that. But I mean, so this guy's going to get a pretty decent shot here, though. I feel like, Zach Wilson has really crapped the bed a couple times and come back, gotten a shot. He's going to get another chance next year. I don't know. Could you see pulling the plug on him this early, like all the way, and just like investing in another quarterback? Or it's just, I feel like it's going to be a for sure thing that he gets another chance next year is how I see it.
That's how it should be. They're not a quarterback away. So they have time to figure this one out.
Yeah. I just feel like we've gotten a lot of good evidence. So, the stat that keeps coming back, for me at least, is that it took Zach Wilson 7 weeks to throw 3 touchdowns. It took Mike White 1 start to throw 3 touchdowns. That offense was just, that last start against the Patriots, 77 yards, 9 of 22. That is like Rex Grossman-esque. It's tough to win games that way. So even if quite the quarterback away, it's going to be pretty damn hard to win a game like that, Frankie, unless you're playing with the 85 Bears.
Well, listen, you have the investment. You're paying him. You've got the first-round pick, so you're not fully paying him, but you've invested that capital.
Yeah.
So play out that string.
So let's hit on the Patriots. As we're talking about the Jets, do a little bit of the AFC East before we go too far. So talking about the Patriots, I mentioned that you probably got your best start from Mac Jones this weekend, of the season. I'm not a big Mac guy. I don't think you're a big Mac guy, but we could probably see that he played his best game this weekend. But still, at the end of the game, just wasn't as good as you need to be. The Patriots offense definitely surprised me in the fact that they scored 26 points. But with the Bills coming up this weekend, a team that averages 28, I don't have a lot of faith in the Patriots being able to duplicate that type of effort. What did you think about the game against the Vikings? Did that tell you anything about what the Patriots are cooking up? Was that just an aberration? How did you look at it?
The Patriots are what they are. We are a limited offense with a mediocre at best quarterback. Ramondre Stevenson has been a revelation. You brought up the stat. He's got 50 catches. That's a guy who had less than 20 last year. So just like Bill Belichick said, he's similar to Tom Brady. He's similar to Lawrence Taylor. He's that good. No hyperbole. But he's been impressive. That game was entertaining. If you had asked me before the game, I would have said something like 30-16. So it was a nice game to view as a Patriots fan, but they're not cooking up anything. It didn't enlighten me as to what they're doing.
I knew that would upset you. I don't think they're cooking up anything either. The Minnesota doesn't have a great defense, right? And for what I know. But I just feel like the Patriots, this is kind of what they are now. It's like they go up against a quarterback that's better than that. I mean, like they were talking about it in the booth. I can't get over this. They're talking about like how Tony Dungy had a 10-6 season with Sean King. Now you mentioned that was with a pretty good defense, but you're looking at a lot of coaches that coached with Bill or during Bill. And I think a lot of people, if Bill Belichick doesn't go out with, at least being able to have a couple decent postseason runs, I think a lot of people are going to look at Bill Belichick differently. I think for him, winning is going to matter. Like this is all going to count at the end here. You feel like when you win 6 Super Bowls, sure, it's going to be impossible to take those away, but a lot of people are going to look at those a lot differently if he doesn't do something. And one of those people is Tony Dungy, who had like a 58% winning percentage without Peyton Manning. You're looking at Bill Belichick with like a 47% type winning percentage without Brady. So basically just say all that to say that without the quarterback, the Patriots can't really win right now.
Well, the defense is overrated, and despite being faster than it's been in years and younger than it's been in years, it's still old and slow. So we need a lot of revamping. We have the 3rd highest pass catching unit, the highest paid cap dollars to tight ends, and that's for a bunch of people who cannot catch and do not get separation. It's wild to me that the roster is in as poor of shape as it is. I still think he's an elite coach. I never thought he was an elite GM. He's mediocre. You go through peaks and troughs. He's had some great runs. He's had 2 Hall of Fame runs drafting, and he's had, 10 years of mediocrity.
So one rumor that I heard today was that Bill O'Brien could be coming back to the NFL. And you don't know where it might be, but he's kind of like in that McDaniels type scenario where from the area, likes the area, family likes the area. Could you buy into him being an utter, because I probably wouldn't buy into this too much, but I feel like Kraft is probably going to be upset with the direction that the Patriots went in this year. So I feel like Kraft may have a little bit more influence over the Patriots going forward. Do you think there's any chance we see Bill O'Brien in the offensive coordinator role kind of till Belichick hangs it up and then maybe goes to like a head coaching type role? Do you see anything like that with Bill O'Brien coming back here?
No. He's going to get a head coaching job. Why would he come and be a part of this nonsense? If he does come back, fascinating. I think he's a great coach. I think he would help. But why would he make that decision? I don't understand. He can go somewhere where they have talent and don't have a bunch of money tied up in guys that aren't good.
Hey, spending money is bad. I mean, just ask the Rams or, anybody else or the Chiefs or the Bucks or anybody else who's been good the last few years.
If you spend money on people that are good, it works. If you're paying Kelsey and Hill before he was gone and Mahomes and Chris Jones, you're in a good position. If you're paying Stafford and Aaron Donald and Ramsey, good on you.
Yeah, what was all this crap about being able to spend nothing at the quarterback so that you could spend in other areas? It's not quite killing Buffalo or killing the Chiefs that they're spending $45 million at the quarterback position.
They spent money on the wrong guys. That's the problem. They spent money on the wrong guys.
Yep. No harm, no foul in signing Jonnu Smith to $50 million on the first day of free agency. Before the guy could even wipe the crusties out of his eyes, they're giving him a $50 million offer on the first day of free agency.
I feel like that could have worked with Tommy, but Tom's not here. And they're not good enough to overcompensate for that because they're average. And Mac Jones is average, maybe below average. And that's just where you are. Bill can still coach him up, but he's coaching up like turds.
Yeah, but Mac has a cute nickname, Mac and Cheese, that Cam named him that, No, I feel like, yeah, I mean, so weren't we also told that if Mac struggled that we would see Bailey Zappi? Like, it's just like, I feel like they can't even, like, I don't even know how bought into Mac Jones the Patriots are at this point.
We are going to run that through. We know we drafted him in the first round. we know we have to see what we have, and we have to know Zappy's not it. We see these guys in a couple starts and we're like, oh, they can do something. These teams have them every day in practice. They see their work ethic. They have them in film room. They have the all 52. Like they see a lot more of these players than we do.
Yeah. And we got Josh chiming in here saying that he was excited about Jonnu at the time. Yeah, and only Judon has worked out, but and then the thing is too is that Judon hasn't been able to be as effective towards the end of the year. Judon wasn't incredibly effective these last couple starts. Are we witnessing that again happening this year? It kind of feels like it.
He's a little undersized. If we could get a better inside, I don't know why we're paying Devon Godchild and Lawrence Guy still. I think that's absurd. But
much money.
I just don't get it. Like I said, we're a little faster than we've been in recent years, and we're still so much slower than the game is played right now. And it's incredibly frustrating. And again, I would have been excited for Jonnu if we had a quarterback. We didn't have a quarterback because it was clear in Tennessee he didn't understand football. He was just a freak athlete. So outside of those tight end screens, what can he really do? He doesn't create separation unless it's a broken player. He's not carried through zones because he's just not great at it.
Yeah, I feel like Kyle Duggar's been disappointing too.
He's been good. He's been fine. He's like Patrick Chung. He's not ever going to be great. He's a little utility player. He hits hard. He's smart. He's been serviceable. He's fine.
Yeah.
That's a win at the draft. That's a win on the field.
Okay. Anything else from I guess just going into this Buffalo game, do you think the Patriots can slow them down? Do you think that this will be the dogfight? Do you think that this will be a fast game? I just feel like there's no way that the Patriots can hang with the Bills. Like Bill Belichick might do something crazy. I can't see a way that they hang with the Bills.
They will not. They will not hang with the Bills. They will lose by probably 10. Like, I just don't understand why the Pats still get as much love from Vegas and from like professional pundits. We're not good. And it's a shame, but the Bruins are great. The Celtics are great. So like, I have enough mental equity to watch these games, but we've been bad for a long time now.
Yeah.
Like, multiple seasons now, the Patriots have been bad.
Well, it was like that Trent Dilfer clip, like the Patriots just aren't good anymore. So now that clip would be valid. That wasn't so good in like 2016 or whatever, but
but nobody will say it because that happened. Because that happened, then nobody will say it now. But if you just watch it with your eyeballs, we aren't very good.
Oh, I know. Well, I mean, the biggest shock for me too has just been like their defense. Their defense has been like pretty good as far as penalties and everything, but their offense, they've been the highest penalized unit. Like their offense just really, I just feel like you could really see Patricia's imprint on this, like him just not having the experience, the penalties, the fact that it takes so long to make these adjustments, to make things simpler for Mac Jones. I mean, it took them like 12 weeks to start to simplify the offense for Mac Jones. It's like, hello, that's what you're doing for Zappy, and he's getting results. Like, can you just take what you're doing and do it for the other guy? So I just feel like that decision has really bit them in the ass, and I wonder if Kraft is going to say, "Hey, enough of this crap." When we go into the I kind of have a feeling that he will.
I don't. McDaniels is gone. He let Parcells walk. He let Brady walk. I doubt he'll ever let Belichick walk.
He's not going to let Belichick walk, but he wouldn't heavily influence him to get a decent offensive coordinator. Because he's a Mac guy. He's going to want what's best for Mac.
I don't think he has that kind of control. I think Bill in Patriots place is a made man.
Yeah, I mean, I guess when I sit there and say that, I'm sure that Kraft probably can't actually make Belichick do anything. He's probably going to keep Patricia. But could Patricia maybe get placed to like another role or something and make him, You know what I mean? Where they're not going to necessarily say it was a demotion or something, but will they say that he's the offensive line coach and bring in somebody that's got more to do with leading the offense?
I don't think Belichick is interested in bringing in somebody from the outside to learn his system because I think he's a curmudgeon and I think he's at the end of his career trying to pass Shula and get the hell out of here. That's
Yeah.
what I think.
Yeah. All right. Well, if we go on to a team that's struggling right now is definitely the Ravens. They lose another game that they had up. They were up, on Jacksonville by 10 points with 5 minutes, 59 seconds left. They end up losing that one to the point where Lamar Jackson started to drop some obscenities on fans on Twitter. They've lost 4 games where they've absolutely been up. I mean, they lost a game that they were up 35-14. They've lost games where they've been up 10 in the fourth quarter with 6 minutes left. Lamar Jackson has bet on himself. Has that bet paid off?
As long as he remains healthy, that bet pays off, even if they miss the playoffs. If he stays healthy, somebody's going to pay that man top dollar. I don't understand why the Ravens aren't better. I think that was an absurd loss. I just don't understand. They're so much better. And they lost.
These are like Las Vegas caliber losses, like the ones where you're up by 17.
And you made Trevor Lawrence look good, who hasn't looked good since college.
Well, Trevor Lawrence is on the right path though from where he was last year. I mean, he's not looking great, but he wasn't good last year, and I'd say he's making a step in the right direction. I'm not going to go crazy with it, but
okay.
If he makes the jump that he did from this year to next year, if he makes the jump that he made this year, next year, he'd be a pretty good quarterback at that point.
Would he be Teddy Bridgewater?
I mean, I would hope not. I feel like he's Teddy Bridgewater now, or probably better than Teddy Bridgewater now. We're saying Trevor Lawrence?
He doesn't win. That other guy wins. I'm a big fan of winners.
Oh, God. Oh, we know. Even if they literally do nothing.
Speaking of nothing, that's how much the 49ers gave up because they are so confident and locked in with their quarterback. Running backs are going down left and right, but Jimmy G stays steady. He is an amazing quarterback. Say it with me, Billy. He's an unbelievable quarterback.
Is there any chance he's back there next year? There can't be. He can't go back there next year. But I mean, I thought there was no chance he was going to be there this year. I mean, at this point, he might as well just come back next year. When is it going to stop?
Well, he probably will never stop winning because he's a born winner. Future Jets quarterback. Why would you go to New York if you're Jimmy G? You're going to go to that suckbag organization? That the Jets are not ready to win yet. They have a wonderful defensive line. They have a great cornerback. They've got pieces all over their team, and they're still bad. I know they're finally 7-5 this year. They're probably not going to make the playoffs. Mike White's not good.
Hey, what about our boy? Who's the running back who got hurt there?
Which team?
The Jets. He mentioned a lot of offensive talent. He was on my team.
Breece Hall.
Yes. He comes back.
He's been gone. Mekhi Becton gets hurt, stays getting hurt. And Mitchell's just not as good as they thought he was. Wilson does look to be a player.
Yeah, Garrett Wilson. God, what a change. I mean, it was just so funny, the way they played. It was almost just get Zach Wilson off the field and allow us the way that Garrett Wilson took that thing 54 yards to the house. He's just so happy to have the ball in his hands. We're only completing 9 passes a game when Zach Wilson is in here. Just give me the damn ball.
He looks very good. And I said I didn't get him coming out of the draft, but he's been excellent. So, hats off to the Jets, hats off to everybody who was right, because I was in the minority not believing in him, and he's very, very good.
So I mentioned that the Raiders are 2-0 since Derek Carr cried. That came in a game against the
Seahawks.
Seahawks. And it seems like I think that Josh McDaniels is going to be okay there. Like he's going to last a couple of years. I feel like everybody was ready to throw this guy out of town real quick. I feel like he's hired like the right support system around him. People believe in him. I see you like shutting your eyes, so you don't think that
I think he has the job security. I'm not sold on him as a head coach in the first place. I don't understand if you're an offensive guy why this offense hasn't been very good. And look at how easy it was to just hand the freaking ball off and then run play action off it and to your main receiver, to Hunter and Waller when they get back. But right now you should be leaning on Jacobs. When you've simplified, it's so much easier. Like, I don't understand why this wasn't something he was doing earlier. I'm not an NFL genius, and he is. So,
well, I think what was kind of happening was that they were like more so believing in the scheme. It was almost like a Patriots-esque thing where they weren't necessarily running plays for like Devontae Adams and Jacobs and it's
they're
like
4-7, so they should be running plays for Jacobs and Adams. There's no question that that's what they should be doing. There's no way.
You hear what I'm saying, though. It's like before it was like the scheme, like let's scheme it open and stuff. It's like you got to just get the ball to your playmakers.
It was that team never needed to be scheme. You've got Carr, you've got Adams when they're healthy, you've got Waller and Renfro. You've got Josh Jacobs. Run it. Run play action, open it up. Like, you can win a number of ways being simple when you have that much talent. Don't work too hard.
The Browns have a little bit of talent. I know it doesn't seem like you think so, but they're going to welcome back Deshaun Watson this week. And Deshaun Watson, I'm sure the NFL doesn't believe in plot lines, coming back for his first game against the Texans. What kind of expectations do you have for Deshaun Watson? He's been out for 2 years. He's collected a lot of rust. I think it's going to take – I don't think we're going to see anything crazy out of him for these, like, the games that he plays this year. I would expect him to play well next year. Are you chalking this season up as, like, not a whole lot out of him? Is he going to take this team to the playoffs? How are you sitting with Deshaun Watson coming back?
I can't believe he's coming back because he shouldn't be allowed to play ever. But here's the thing. I expect him to be good when he plays. Being a bad person.
Right away?
Yes. Being a bad person does not exclude you from being very talented at what you do. He may be a scumbag, but he was a top 5 quarterback when he played. He is exceptionally talented. He's had time to watch the NFL move. And if he's smart, then he recorded and is hell-bent on taking it out on the field.
Yeah. No, the thing that sucks is that I really did like Deshaun Watson before that. Like, I feel like it was easy to root for him before this whole thing happened. So it's like, I did kind of want him to do. I mean, now it's kind of like just impossible to root for this guy, but it'll also be interesting to see how this plays out. Like, how do fans deal with his success and because it's like, I don't even necessarily know how to feel. Like, we're going to be going crazy unless he's on my fantasy team, of course, then I'll forgive anything.
I've long since removed morals from sports, or I wouldn't be watching sports still. I love sports.
Are you going to be fist pumping for Watson, rocking the jersey?
Look, there was a guy in Buffalo who murdered someone. That doesn't mean he wasn't an absolute tank as a running back. Like, I've long since removed the morals from my sports.
Oh, so have I. I guess I'm just saying it'll be weird to see how people deal with his success, I guess.
People wanted Paterno to keep his job. People, I'm sure all over the world, if you're good enough at your job, you get to keep it. And he's going to be good.
So is he going to change the Browns' fortune? They haven't been as good as the Browns should be better than they are. Let's face it. They have a good offensive line, good defensive line. I mean, Jacoby Brissett sucks. I don't expect much out of him. If he can keep the boat afloat for you while your quarterback's out for 5 or 6 games, I feel like that's kind of more of like what you should be expecting out of him. But I did think that I thought that the Browns should at least be like 500 without Deshaun Watson. I've been a little bit disappointed in them this year.
They're not good, and they don't believe in their quarterback. And also, I'm sure there are players in the locker room who do not care about Deshaun Watson's issues at all. Some of them do, even if it's a small percentage. So I'm sure those people haven't been, whoever they are, have not been giving their all. Myles Garrett stays getting hurt. So at the end of the day, I'm not overwhelmingly shocked at their record. I think this is who they are. I think, again, Deshaun Watson's, he's good at what he does. He's good at his job. How good will he be right away in translation to wins? I'm not sure. But eventually you're going to get the right guys around him. You're paying him a ton of guaranteed money, so he's going to stay there. And eventually you'll put good players around this good player. And if he keeps playing and there's not another issue, he's going to throw for 1,000,000 yards because they are invested. This ownership group is invested, what, 230 million? They're going to put players around him.
Yeah. Now, another team that's invested that number to a fairly well-known quarterback is the Denver Broncos, who have invested that $250 million figure in Russell Wilson. It's been a shocking decline for him. And I could have never seen, we've said this a million times, but, I've said it a million times that I could have never expected what's going on this year. I don't think anybody called anything close to what's going on. They lose to the Panthers and the Panthers can't even pick a quarterback. They're changing their quarterback every other week. Yep, but they can still beat the Broncos. Can Russell Wilson can Russell Wilson be fixed? Can this situation be fixed? I think that the Broncos are going to fire Nathaniel Hackett after a year, but they're not going to be able to cut bait with Russell Wilson for a while. They're screwed.
They probably have minimum 2 years left with Russ, and that's, worst case scenario, best case of them getting rid of him. But it occurred to me this morning that he's a lot like Donovan McNabb, but with a ring. He's just not quite as good as we thought he was, but he was a media darling and an absolute nerd, and so people just went gaga for him. He had all this winning quotient in Seattle, but it turns out that was a lot more of the culture. They've won more games than he has, and he's looked bad. They're last in the NFL in points per game. They got defensive tackles yelling in his face, like his own teammates. He's just not as good as we thought he was. And granted, they might be scoring less points, but it doesn't look as bad as McNabb on the 49ers. Or the Redskins at the time.
Oof. Yeah. No, that was a tough look.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think it's funny because these two quarterbacks who got these enormous deals, like the $250 million deal, I feel like these guys have the best agents of all time. You're looking at, Deshaun Watson, who, had like the 26 different cases come up against him, gets a unprecedented deal, gets it all guaranteed. You don't even know if the guy's going to come back in a game. And then Russell Wilson, I just feel like his media team has done like an incredible job, like hiding who he was through 10, 12, 13 years of his career. Like you're talking about it kind of like a huge nerd. Like you listen to some of these other things where like, I still can't get over this, where, they had like Marshawn Lynch and some other guys from Seattle saying that basically in order to get in touch with Russell Wilson, you had to like talk to Russell Wilson's manager or whatever. Like, could you even imagine dealing with somebody like that? So I feel like it's kind of incredible that they hid that he was this type of D-bag for this long and so unlikable. It's like the second he got to Broncos, everyone realizes like, whoa, why are we so passionate about following this guy?
I would agree. We knew Tom Brady was a weirdo right away. So at least there's a difference there. But Russell Wilson, we thought he was a winner. And it turns out he's just a football player. When he was around a lot of talent, he was able to drive the bus. But he also threw a pick on the 1 yard line, or he would have been a lot better than he is. And maybe
for that.
Maybe you split the difference, and that's who he really was.
Yeah, well, it's just funny because remember when he won that first Super Bowl, people were like, he's going to be here every year. And Tom Brady, and it's so hard to win championship. Like, you always take it for granted. Like, we'll be back here again. And just like, it's just never, sure Marino thought he'd be back. It's just, like, there's so many guys that it's like, we were seriously calling Russell Wilson a winner a couple of years into his career. I mean, are we calling Russell Wilson a winner now? I mean, he hasn't done anything since like 2013, 2014. Is he a winner to you? Can you win one Super Bowl and be a winner?
I'm not off the he's a winner bandwagon just yet. I did see enough early on. I saw mediocrity, but good stats after that. But the Pats had a 10-year window where they couldn't beat anybody good and they weren't winning a lot of games. And that was with the GOAT coach and the GOAT quarterback. So you get that Hackett guy out of there. He doesn't know what he's doing. He's out of his depth. You get a good coach around him. You figure out your receiving core because I thought Sutton and Judy were good. So you as an organization are going to need to figure that out. You have a good defense and you have Russell Wilson. If you can figure the rest out, you should be fine. And we'll find out if he's a winner or not.
I don't know. I feel like that. I mean, if he's this bad at 30, is he really going to get better next year at 35? Like, is he going to?
The team can get better around him. Look at some of the starters in the NFL. Mariota's a starter. Dalton is still a starter. He's going to be better than those guys for a long time.
There are some guys who just perpetually start games. It's like Jacoby Brissett always starts game. Ryan Fitzpatrick always started games. Like, I don't know. There's guys who just wind up starting a million games. Like Carson Wentz is a quarterback every year for somewhere where he should probably be a backup now at this point. Like Jimmy G is another one that, you know.
Hey. The reason Jimmy G starts is because he's a bona fide winner. Outside of one throw, you can't say he didn't get the job done.
I mean, you could honestly say that Jimmy G has had a better year than Russell Wilson. Did you ever think you'd? I mean, nobody thought we'd be saying that.
Hasn't one beaten the other?
Certainly not the people out there that were saying that Trey Lance was going to win an MVP. And remember, there were people saying that he was like a top 5 MVP candidate.
It sure looks like that touted quarterback class didn't produce a lot of quarterbacks.
That is like the worst quarterback class. I mean, it's crazy how you thought that each guy was going to be like a franchise guy.
Fields would be so good. I think if you put Fields on the Jets, that's a real team. Like Justin Fields is a good quarterback.
Yeah. Yeah. So do you think they'll come back down to earth at all?
Who?
The Bears.
Yes. He's not this good. Well, it's not that he's not this good. He's still young and needs to develop as a pocket quarterback. But the idea they weren't letting him run and letting him do what he does. He's exceptionally fast and he's bigger than most scrambling quarterbacks. He's thick. He has some of that Russell Wilson. He's thick in his lower body, his upper body. He played in college with injuries, horrible injuries. He's got an AC joint sprain right now. Probably going to play. If I'm the Bears, I would keep him out. Let's work for a draft pick. Let's only let you play when you're completely right. We're not there yet. No reason to force you back.
Before we get into NBA and stuff, I know we wanted to talk about winners of the NFC East and the AFC East this year are just like fantastic. I mean, everybody is in it.
Who's the worst team in both those divisions?
Honestly, in the AFC East, and I mean this, you have to say that the Patriots right now are probably the worst talented team.
I meant if you combine both divisions, who is the lowest team on that totem pole?
I mean the Commanders, right?
They're 7-5. I know a team with a worse record than that, whose offense looks completely inept, and with a quarterback that I think is genuinely less good than Taylor Heineke. That's all I know. I think the worst team in both divisions is the Patriots. The Giants probably have the worst quarterback.
That's a good answer, though. I could buy the Giants as the worst team.
7-5, better record than the Patriots.
So out of those teams, is somebody going to lose out? Are the Jets going to? Can they win some games down the stretch here? Are they going to lose out of the playoffs? How many teams are going to make the playoffs out of this?
Right now, all of those teams are probably going to make the playoffs if it were to end today, except the Patriots. I think the Commanders will fall out. I think the Jets will fall out. I mean, the Eagles and the Cowboys are going. I think the Giants are probably going.
I think it's going to be real hard for the Patriots to make the playoffs, just based on like Cincinnati is going to get in.
But Cincinnati's going to win their division.
Uh,
The
all right,
Patriots aren't going to win their division at all.
Yeah, no, the Patriots definitely are. Well, I guess I'm just trying to think who are the other people that are going to be coming in from. I just got to think of who's
It's
winning.
going to be Baltimore. It's going to be New York. Even though they're not going to get in, they're probably better than us, so they'll keep us from making the playoffs. Dolphins are going to get in. Bills are going to get in. Titans are going to get in. Like a lot of the playoff seeding is already done. Well, not seeding, but a lot of the playoff teams are decided.
Yeah, no,
barring major injuries or like cataclysmic falls. There's the extra game, so I guess anything can happen. But the Patriots are what, 6-5, probably about to be 6-6. So they're not. We're not.
Yeah, no, it's tough sledding for them. But I mean, it seems to. I mean, we were talking before the show. You seem to think Green Bay still has a chance to make the playoffs. So I mean, you must really think the Pats have a chance to make the playoffs, or you think Green Bay's still in it?
I think they have more talent on their team, and I think their quarterback is better. I think their offensive coaching is better.
Jordan Love?
I think Aaron Rodgers is going to play. He does not want to lose his job, and he doesn't want to play anywhere else. He wants his money, and he wants to stay where he's played his whole career.
It would be easy for him to kind of take the rest of the year off on an injury, though, right? Kind of a lost year.
If Jordan Love is average, they will find a trade suitor for Aaron Rodgers. If he's average.
Okay.
Because they'll go with 1 year of average and then dip into the free agency market.
Yeah.
Or draft a new one.
Christian Watson's been a monster over there, too.
Christian Watson has 6 touchdowns in 3 games. He has been a revelation for that offense. And that's why I think they can do some things. Can you name me the Christian Watson that the Patriots have?
The Christian Watson?
Yes.
Like as far as like a receiver who was like that, or?
Yes. 6'4", 4'3". Has the potential to have 6 touchdowns in 3 games. Closest one would be Kendrick Bourne, and we don't play him because our offensive coach doesn't understand offense.
Yeah, we don't play him because he only plays when Myers is off the field, basically. They can't figure out how to work in 2 slot receivers.
Yeah, it should be Thornton, but we already knew.
Yeah, I honestly was going to go Thornton there, but he's like 6'2". You said 6'4", so I was like, that cuts him out.
But I'm just saying they have multiple talent. Like who's Aaron? Like Ramondre Stevenson, we love him. They have a better 1-2 punch. We have Damian Harris. They have Ramondre. They have AJ Dillon. They have Aaron Jones. That's better.
Yeah. Hey, no, you don't have to sell me on the fact that the Patriots don't have a lot of talent.
I'm just saying we have similar records, the Patriots and the Packers, and I think they have more talent on both sides of the ball. So they have Rashawn Gary, they have Jair Alexander, they've got some guys over there that I think can really play.
Now, speaking of guys that could really play, we were talking about the top guys that are under 25. And, you got to put that careful label on there, the under 25, because, we started out that exercise. We named like 5 straight guys that were 25. We're like, crap. But unanimously, it was Micah Parsons from ESPN. But that wasn't good enough for you, Frank, right? You're not taking Micah Parsons 1 under 24.
No. Top players under 25. It's been bad, but they have players. And also their offense has been cheeks. So that leads to your defense being bad. When you can't play complementary football, they're both going to look worse. But top players under 25. I think it's Justin Jefferson. I think it's Jamar Chase. I think you slide Micah Parsons in at 3, and that's what you're looking at. You have Herbert right behind there. Yeah, and I wanted to put Chase Young there. I wanted to put Chase Young there because he's super, super talented. I think I'll put Jalen Hurts there and give him some respect. Put some respect on his name finally. I could probably put Rashawn Slater or Tristan Wirfs on there, but I don't feel like putting a lineman on there, so I would just continue to put running backs and wide receivers on there. DK
Would
Metcalf
Josh Jacobs be anywhere near that number? He's 24. Would he be any? Josh Jacobs, would he be anywhere? You know, he only had like 300 yards or so this week.
I think Jonathan Taylor slides in before him. I think Jonathan Taylor slides in before Josh Jacobs, but they're right there. They're in the top 10.
How pissed would you be if you took Jonathan Taylor this year in fantasy?
Listen, we know who that guy is. When he's on the field, he's that dude. I don't worry about him.
Yeah.
And then Nick Bosa. Nick Bosa should be on that list.
Yeah, I like Nick Bosa in there. Patrick Surtain's another guy.
I love Surtain.
God, Micah Parsons is just so good.
He is good. I do think he needs to put on maybe 5-10 pounds. And then I wonder about anybody's first step when they put on 10 pounds. But when he's not standing upright, he's not a great 3 technique. Not that he should always play that. He should play that, a handful of times a game. But to be Lawrence Taylor, J.J. Watt, Aaron Donald, you need to be able to move around the defensive line and attack from different angles.
Yeah.
Eventually, they're going to stop you running by him. Like, eventually, there's just always going to be a tight end and a running back over there. And then what's your secondary moves? Do you have hands? Do you have a rip move? Do you have sink and swim? I love Brian Burns as well. Brian Burns, yeah, I would put all these players before I put Slater or Wirfs because I do not value the offensive lines. I value the sum of the offensive line as very valuable. You need to win the line of scrimmage. But any one offensive lineman, no, absolutely not. Quentin Nelson can only be so good. Like, you got one offensive lineman, you're toast anyway. I think Brian Burns, I think all these wide receivers, Micah Parsons, they all have far more impact than an offensive lineman.
What? That is crazy, though. They allow them to do their jobs. Like,
but one of them isn't good enough. It's quite literally a chemistry thing. Your offensive line needs to have chemistry. It's not, if you have one good defensive lineman, that guy can get 5 sacks. If you have one good lineman and you move the defensive player far away from that guy, and run stunts, what's going to happen? You're going to get pressure because you got one guy. Not to mention false starts and things like that. You need a cohesive unit for offensive line. For other positions, for a pass rusher, for a pass defender, for a pass catcher, yes, it's a dependent position, but you can wreck a game without having complementary pieces. Calvin Johnson can still wreck a game despite having absolutely nobody throwing the ball to
him. Ask Pitts how often he's wrecking games down there with Mariota throwing to him.
I think that's a Pitts problem. He had a very good rookie season, and he let it all go to his head. I think as long as he has something between the ears, he'll be back. He's got all the talent in the world. The guy's dripping with talent. He's not Evan Ingram. He's not going to be one of these. He's not Jonnu Smith. He has more football sense. He has cleaner routes. He's less clunky. Right now, he can't block, and it looks like the game's a little too fast for him after looking like he was ahead of the curve last year. But this is the NFL. People get film on you, and they're going to learn how to defend you. It's how you respond.
Mm-hmm. Well, if we move to the NBA, the Celtics have definitely responded really well to their, finals loss last year. I think a lot of people wondered what they'd look like without Ime, wondered how they would come back. And I mean, they've come back. I mean, they're just like the way that they and the Bruins have started this year has been incredible. They're 17-4. They've got like the best offensive rating game through 21 games ever. They're shooting 40% from 3. They have 5 guys in the top 15 of shooting threes in the NBA right now. And it just seems like whoever they put in is performing, whether it be Peyton Pritchard, whether it be Luke, the Murder Hornet, Cornette. It's really remarkable how well they're playing on offense right now. I know that naturally you and I are going to be skeptical then about the defense, but this team is just playing in an incredible rhythm right now. They've been able to sit guys like Tatum, Brown, and still not lose to the production. What does that say to you about the way they started this? I didn't think they would start this way. I figured they might get here again, but the way that they started the year, it's definitely been impressive.
I will say it's encouraging. I will say, like the Bruins, they cannot defend. So when the historic offense stops, they will come back to earth a little bit. But I guess my problem is when Tatum's playing better defense and you have Marcus Smart, who's supposed to be this awesome defender, why is their defense still this bad? It's very disappointing. They've been fun to watch. They haven't had a full team, I don't think, at any point. Danilo hasn't played. We haven't seen Robert Williams, so there's still things to work in. But here's the difference. The Bruins are playing hockey where everybody takes every game seriously. The Celtics are beating up on teams in the NBA who haven't quite taken it seriously yet. Like the NBA season is really a wake me up on Christmas event, maybe around New Year's. Like let's not. There's a lot of teams right now that are bad who are going to be good. A lot of teams that are good who are going to be bad. The Jazz are a perfect example. They come out bad out of hell already, 9th in the West. The Magic came out good. Paolo is doing all these things. Water finds its level. And in that league, nobody takes it seriously until halfway through. But the Celtics are clearly taking it seriously, and that's the only way to return to a championship after losing or winning. They have clearly taken this very seriously. They're coming out. They're trying to win every game. Their playmakers are making plays. I would like to make the point that in all of their losses, Marcus Smart has done classic Marcus Smart things, which is not just the winning plays. It is also the, I'm a superstar things. But the reason they're winning is because he has, for the most part, accepted his role, at least as much as he has at any part of his career. He's probably not the defender he's been in years past. He's definitely statistically not the defender he's been in years past. But we've been good. So I don't want to be too skeptical. That's usually my MO, but we've looked good, and I'd like us to keep looking good.
Yeah, I'm kind of forgetting where I was even going to go with that. But
are we better than the Bucks full strength? That's still the question. I think the Bucks would have won the championship last year.
That's actually exactly where I was going to go, is who are the other threats? And I do feel like the Bucks aren't playing as well right now, but they play as well when it matters. They're like the exact type of team that, you're kind of talking about, where they can just turn it on. Like,
I've always claimed the Celtics don't have a switch. Our players are a little immature. So they talk to the refs too much. They play me basketball too much. The Bucks are the opposite. When they have Middleton, Holiday, and Giannis and Lopez, they're going to be fine. They play the right brand of basketball. They all accept their roles. They know who they are. They're going to be fine. Grayson Allen looks great over there. Do you understand he would look bad on 29 other NBA teams? They understand their roles over there.
Looks incredible this year. Like, I don't even know what it is. I mean, the guy's like 35. The guy is like literally getting better with age. I mean, now he makes like 2 threes a game, and he's blocking 2.5 shots. I mean, you don't even see these types of stat lines. Like, you don't see a guy that can swat 2 and hit 2 threes in a game. Like,
he came in as a back to the basket, but he had the potential. He was already good at hitting 19-footers. So he extended his range back about 6 feet, and the league got shorter. So couple that with he's got several elite man defenders, so he gets to play a lot of help defense. Anybody who's tall and understands help defense is going to get blocks when they get other individually great defensive players.
Whitey with the how does water find its level? I don't know how that came about. It's gonna have to hit that with a Google search after this.
I'm prone to hyperbole in turns of phrase, so it is what it is.
I'm sure it came from some BS sports argument or something. I don't know. So we were talking.
It's got something to do with sailing. I would hope that it has something to do with actual water.
Yeah, who the hell knows? So we were talking about who you think is an actual threat. And so aside from like the Celtics, I feel like right now, the Celtics are like the number 1 team. I would say that, the Bucks could definitely be that team. The 76ers, When you go to the West, you're looking at like Phoenix, like maybe you're looking at like the Grizzlies again, but the Warriors are playing below their level. Who are you looking at as a serious contender in the West? Because I don't even know if they have a major one right now that I'd be too afraid of.
I'm not afraid of anybody in the West except for I will always fear the most talent. So yeah, Phoenix is still there. Make no mistake about it. They're not playing great, but they've got the talent. They've been to a conference final. They've been nipping at the door. So I respect them. The Warriors I respect because Steph Curry is just not dropped just a minute, a second, a foot. The guy is just unreal good. Klay Thompson will get better. He'll never regain form, but he'll be better than what he's been. But I'm not, and like I don't believe in the Kings. I don't like. I'm not a fan of. I know Shai Gilgeous is doing his thing, but I'm not a believer in that. Like
you don't believe in the Kings, man? Come on, you're crazy.
I've watched a lot of Kings games, and they've been exciting. They've got players I like there.
They can definitely score. I want to say they're the third or fourth highest scoring team in the league. Like their offense is good for sure.
They're exciting to watch. They're young. They don't know what they don't know. I would like to say the Grizzlies, when they have all of their players, Bane and Jackson and Brooks and Ja, they are a very good team.
They kind of remind me of Cleveland in a way, where they're like a good team. They have like the good pieces.
But they have better top end talent.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah. I mean, John Morant is ridiculous.
I don't know if he can shoot well enough to be a playoff killer. You can only beat Derrick Rose for so long. You can only beat Russell Westbrook on the Thunder for so long.
That's so funny. I was just going to go into the Derrick Rose thing when you mentioned the shooting.
But you can only do it for so long. If you're Dwayne Wade, you can only do that for so long without LeBron and Bosh. You just can't quite. Vince Carter, when you know what I mean? He needed to learn how to shoot threes to last. Like eventually, if you can't shoot and your athleticism leaves you, you're toast in this league. It's not what it was. What it was.
It always did surprise me that D Wade wasn't good at threes, or that he didn't. Like you feel like watching him, he would have been a three shooter. Like I don't know.
He was excellent in the mid range. Why couldn't Rip Hamilton shoot threes at an elite level? When he could shoot everything with a hand in his face and getting fouled from 18 feet. Like, you know what I mean?
He was so good just like running around. Like he never touched the ball. Like he'd only shoot basically when he would touch the ball. He would just Rip Hamilton would be so hard to guard. He's just like running around screens the whole time. You're just like, can you stop running?
Yes, but eventually you need to be able to hit threes.
Yes. It's funny how now you're like useless. Like DeMar DeRozan is probably like the only player they find use for that doesn't shoot threes.
I think Embiid would do better to shoot less threes. That man should, for the first 20 possessions of the game, should dribble the ball every possession 3 times, turn over his right shoulder, and dunk it on some sorry human being.
Yeah, I mean, watching him Eurostep is just incredible. Well, I was just going to mention how good athletic he is for a 7-footer, but this Victor Wembanyama kid, I mean, he's putting it all to rest.
I don't believe. Listen, I would like to see him and Chet both get injured together in the greatest thing that will never happen ever. I hope he joins a T-Mac comparison, just like Yao, and we can watch it not work yet again. I'd like to not be skeptical, but this kid is rail thin, just toothpick skinny. And eventually, somebody in the NBA, like an Embiid or a Giannis, is going to put their shoulder into him, and they're going to break his clavicle. And he's never going to play the same again. Even Dirk, when he was like too skinny and bad, was 240, 250. This kid is like 7'3", 216. I don't care what he's listed at. We're going to go 7'4", 216. The kid's got no meat on his bones. That won't last long. And when he puts meat on his bones, what level of skill, the dribbling, the shooting.
So you don't believe in anything like a basketball strong, like Kevin Garnett was like basketball strong. Like he was never huge, but he was strong.
Kevin Garnett probably 250. Do you think this kid is 250?
When Kevin Garnett first came in the league, he was 250.
No, but he wasn't this awkward and he was more coordinated.
I'm just saying, yeah. I mean, Kevin Garnett was definitely like fat compared to this kid, but just I feel like you could be strong for. I don't know. I feel like Wembanyama. I feel like he really doesn't have many weaknesses. I mean,
Health will be his biggest weakness. I'll tell you who had a lot of skill. That Darko Milicic, that Sam Bowie. They had a lot of skill. They were playing on no legs. I'll tell you a ton of skill. Greg Oden. It's tough to stay healthy when you're that freakishly tall and awkward looking.
Yeah. Okay.
I hope I'm wrong. Porzingis put up 41, and I loved Porzingis when he was drafted. The guy's got all the tools, but eventually that frame doesn't stay healthy.
All right. I mean, the kid moves like a guard. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Yeah, I mean, is he going to have LeBron-like health? No, but bet a lot of people didn't think.
What do you think this man will average next year? Let's say he plays 82 games. What do you suppose he averages?
I feel like there's no way he could average like less than 15.
I think it's something like 17 and 10. And if he can couple 2 blocks and some assists in there, then that's what we're looking for. But I maintain he will need to put on weight, and then how much of his skill does he retain? Not everybody comes in Giannis skinny and then puts on Giannis weight and is the same threat.
Oh, I'm not saying that everybody does. I feel like this kid is special. And I could be wrong, but I'm not.
It'd be great for the league if he was. It'd be great for the league if he was. I'm not sold on him.
Well, we'll end the show on that. We're a couple minutes past it. We appreciate everybody for tuning in and catching up with us as we do our Thanksgiving wrap up here. We'll catch you next week, same time, same place, and take care until then.